Hey there, awesome people. I am Brooke Summer, and you are listening to Business Straight Up, the podcast for creative entrepreneurs to learn, connect, grow, and build the business and life that they dream of. Welcome, let's get going and dive right in. Welcome back, amazing business owners, to another episode of Business Straight Up, the podcast for photographers and creative business owners to learn the skills and marketing skills that they need to make an actual living doing what they love. Let's kick that starving artist cliche to the curb. Am I right? Today's episode is going to be a video episode in addition to the audio. So if you are listening to this in a podcast format, thank you so much for having me in your earbuds. If you are watching this on video on YouTube, or if you want to watch it on YouTube, check out my channel at businessstraightup.com/YouTube. And don't forget to subscribe either way, podcast or YouTube. If you are here with me on video, then you will see the fright that is my hair today. I tried to do some overnight waves because all my straight-haired girls out there will be able to relate to this. Sometimes we just want a little bit of body, right? And instead, I look like I belong in 1985 with a crimping iron. So it's all good. Rather appropriate since I just watched Wonder Woman 84, right? But as I told you in my last episode, in episode 56, if you haven't listened, go to businessstraightup.com/056 to hear the episode, read the show notes. If you haven't heard that yet, head on over. But if you did hear it, you know that I have committed to showing up, even if it's imperfect. So my hair is a fright today. That's okay. I'm still here. We're still going to talk about this today. I recently shared a photo of my annual calendar in my Facebook group. If you are not in the Facebook group, go to businessstraightup.com/community and join us there. I got a lot of questions, and also in other social media channels, about this calendar, what it looks like, and why the heck I do it this way, and why does it look like that, and why does it have all these lines, and what the hell is that? So I thought I would do a little episode to kind of go over it with you so that we can see what it looks like. And I will actually create a photographer one while we're on video today. I don't have the fancy camera that like hovers over what I'm doing. So I'm just going to have to write and then show you. It's not perfect, but it is what it is. So the one that I just held up is the one for the teaching side of my business. And I do run two businesses. I have my boudoir photography studio, very successful. I work with the most amazing clients. And then I have the teaching side of my business, which is where I work with the most amazing students. I just love the people that I work with. I am going to build the photography one with you today. This one is already done. It's not perfect, and we're going to talk about that. But I do want to give credit where credit is due. I cannot take credit for this overall concept. It came from one of my mentors, Todd Herman, who is famous for the 90-day year. I've talked about that before. We'll link to his program in the show notes. It is the most amazing way to look at goal setting and planning. And I use it very, very frequently, 4 times a year. So it's the concept of setting yourself up for goals within 90 days. Now, what we're going to do today is look at the whole year. And the reason for that is there are things that you want to put into your schedule that you don't want to forget about. So for instance, this past December, both my daughter and I did not get to do birthday parties. Now, my son actually missed out on his birthday party as well. However, he is kind of a more laid back guy. He doesn't really want to have a big party. And so when it comes to my daughter and I, we were both pretty upset. And so we are blocking out time in June for our half birthday parties because I am currently 39 2.0 and I refuse to turn 40 in a year where I can't have a big party. So I will turn 40 on my half birthday in June. And that is actually blocked off on the calendar. So I'm going to talk about that, but I wanted you to know that the reason that I do this whole year at a glance is so that we can block off those important dates. We also have some trips that we need to make, things like family obligations, and we have trips that we want to take too. So we're going to figure out all of that. Whether it can still happen with COVID or not, who the hell knows when all of this will kind of chill out a little bit, but that's okay. We're still going to plan it and hope for the best, right? Because that's all we can do. So I am going to walk you through what it looks like on the creative side of my business as a photographer. So if you are watching this and you're like, Brooke, where the hell do I get one of these awesome calendars? I got you. I actually created one in Google Sheets. It's just a simple template, guys. It's not, don't recreate the wheel. If you head on over to show notes at businessstraightup.com/057, which is this episode number, there will be a link to download it for free. And you'll actually just get access to the Google Sheets. You just put in your email address, you'll get access to it. And it is a freebie. It's just something I made quickly in Google Sheets. So I want you to make sure that you print at least 2 copies of this, maybe even 3. And here's why. You'll see I actually have 3 printed out because things will change. If 2020 taught us anything over the last year, things are going to change. And even as you're doing this right now, you're going to mark something and then be like, oh no, I forgot this. I forgot this person's birthday. I forgot this, and we got to change this. So make sure to print 2 copies if you are like me and you like to use colored pens and fun stuff like that. I'm not a big fan of pencils. I don't like the erase, like the little weird thingies that are on my desk after erasing. My daughter loves them. It drives me crazy. I am a big fan of colored pens and markers and colored pencils and stuff like that. So if you prefer a regular calendar, like a dry erase, if you have the big year at a glance dry erase calendars that are on your wall in your office, or maybe you have a planner that you do your calendar in as well, if you do this exercise, you can always transfer it over to whatever you prefer if you don't like this. But the reason that I really, really like this is you can see that the days of the week are all aligned. So why the hell does that matter? Well, let me switch so that the light is in the right spot, because this way we can block off a specific day of the week for whatever you're doing. So for instance, I always take Fridays off, because Fridays are my days with my kids where we do fun things. We go to the zoo, we go to the mountains, we do fun things. That is very, very important to me. And so I always, always, always take Fridays off. And you can see with this other one, that red, those Fridays are off. So I like to have them all lined up like that so that I can see it at a glance. I can see that every Tuesday, I work with clients. Those are my shooting days, sometimes Wednesdays too. It just depends on the day. And that helps me to see everything within the year at a glance. Now, if you prefer to move it to another type of calendar, that is completely fine. You do you. But if you are interested in this, I encourage you to walk through the exercise with me so that you can see what we are doing. So, another note on kind of the whole year versus the 90-day thing. Some of you may remember I've talked about in other podcast episodes that I work in 90-day increments, and that is still true. I will show you when we're doing this that I set aside a day every quarter to plan. And that is when I sit down and I look at, okay, last 90 days, how did it go? What were the goals? Did we meet the goals? Did we completely blow them out of the water and do amazing? Did we not do so good? What does that look like? And I do set aside a day I do set aside a day every quarter to plan. I always want to double check every 90 days to make sure that my goals for the year are still in alignment with what I want, because things change. I think, again, 2020, man, like I started off the year with all of these big goals, and then I was shut down for 5 months, and we had to take that into consideration and look at how things were going to change. So that is why I look at things every 90 days. 90 days is long enough to get some shit done, right? But it's not the entire year, so that you can still change things up and decide to change your mind. The reality is that when you run a business, you are the owner, you're the boss, you get to make the rules. And so I really want you to understand that and not feel compelled to do something a certain way just because someone else said so, including me. So I still do the 90 days. However, I do like to have this big picture view for the year so that I can remember things like, oh, we need to go look at some colleges in September for my son. Or, oh, yeah, I really wanted to go to New York for my birthday in December. So I can put all of those on the calendar and really kind of explore what that looks like. So in your calendar, again, I am so sorry that I don't have the ability to show you the overhead, but you'll see on the bottom that there's a legend. So each line is a month. So we have January, February, March, April, May, and you can see they're all lined based on January starts on the Friday, February starts on a Monday, all that good stuff. At the bottom, there's a legend. What that legend is for categories. Now, it works best if you color coordinate these categories. Now, I am extra in everything I do. And so I literally have my categories that have numbers next to them, because those are the numbers of the colors on my marker, because I am a dork like that. But you do not have to get that fancy. You can just use highlighters. The first draft of my calendar, I used highlighters. That's what I had handy. So use whatever you have. Do not feel like you have to do this in a certain way. You could even use patterns if you wanted, but I like to use colors. They're easier to see. So let's talk about the categories that go into this legend. First things first, I want you to categorize your family and or your friends. I include them in one category because I keep my circle pretty small. I don't have a ton of really close friends that I travel with and visit with, but the ones that I have are very, very important to me. And so I put them in the group with family. Now, if you have a lot of friend obligations that are not necessarily on the same priority line as family, then you might want to separate them. But for me, I put them together. So let me, as I'm talking through this, I'm going to start coloring these in, okay? So the first one that I have is going to be family and friends, okay? And the next line that I have is going to be travel, because travel is something that is really weighing on my heart that I haven't been able to do this year. Well, I did it a little bit for WPPI in 2020. But after that, like all bets were off. As soon as we got home, it was kind of crazy. So I'm going to put travel in there as well, because that is super important to me. And I'm going to put my time off as well as a different color. And I'll show you what this looks like in just a moment. My time off is very important to me. Usually that aligns with family as well, but not always. Like there might be a girls' trip or something like that. I just took my first girls' trip ever in 2019. Totally plan on doing that again. It was amazing. So far you can see that in the legend, I have family, travel, and off. And they're all different colors. Now let's talk about the other things that you'll probably put into your calendar. The next one will likely be sessions, right? Working with clients. So these are client days. Now, if you have 5 days a week as client days, that's totally fine. If that's your thing, awesome. For me, it is not. I work with clients 2 days a week. So I am very careful with those days to make sure that they're planned appropriately because of my kids' school schedules, because of appointments, because of all of these different things. For instance, I don't want to miss picking up my kids at school because I booked a client and I didn't pay attention to that up front. So I'm going to put in client days. Next up is going to come, for me, coaching days. So these are the days that I work with my mentoring students. And if you are not there yet, mentoring is reopened. So go to businessstraightup.com/mentoring to get more information. And so I have my coaching days. And then next, I have marketing days. And people ask me all the time, what do your marketing days consist of? And that's when I do almost all of my marketing activities. So that includes blogging, that includes social media scheduling, that includes reaching out to businesses for partnerships. That includes pretty much everything when it comes to marketing, so that I can group it all together. There's a few reasons for that. One, because I only want to put on hair and makeup one day a week, if possible, or try, right? But I like to batch my activities, because when you're in the marketing zone and you're in the flow of marketing and talking about what you do, it's much easier to do it over and over and over again on one day. So marketing days, sometimes I'll do client consults on those days as well. It just depends. Sometimes I put those on client days. Usually my client days are sessions and reveals and consults. And then my last category that's going in is creative. So let's talk about that for just a moment. Chances are you got into business because you love what you do. You probably didn't consider everything else that went into running a business, like accounting and marketing and bookkeeping and all of these things that can be kind of overwhelming. And so I am very intentional. Now, again, 2020, COVID kind of screwed this up, but I'm very intentional about booking in creative sessions for myself. So this will be sessions that I've always wanted to do. For instance, I've always wanted to do a carousel shoot or a carnival shoot. And so I will start to book those in. I usually try to do one a quarter. Sometimes it doesn't work out that way. Sometimes it comes down to about one every 6 months, just depending on my schedule. But I do book those in my calendar so that I can look ahead. For instance, if I have one in April, I will look ahead and say, oh man, that's 2 months out. I need to start getting on that. I need to start contacting other creatives, finding someone to model, all of that good stuff. So this is the legend so far. You can see we have family, travel, off, clients, coaching, marketing, and creative. All right. Are we there? Do we understand? All right. First, before you are filling out any of this calendar, first thing you have to do is fill your family and friends in first. The reason for that, people fight back on this all the time. Your business should be designed to fit into your life, not the other way around. If you are working so much that you don't have time to spend with your family and friends, why are you running a business? If you're in it just for money and that's your goal, then fine, you do you. That's awesome. But most of us got into business because we love what we do and we want the freedom to design our lives in the way that we want. So put the things in first that are the reason you work. Things like family, time with your friends, girls' trips, things like that. Always, always, always put those in first. So for me personally, I will put in all of my immediate family's birthdays, as well as my not so immediate family's birthdays that are super important, that we need to celebrate. And as I mentioned earlier, I'm also putting in our half birthdays this year because that is when I will officially turn 40. I don't care what anyone says. So I am actually taking some time off to make that happen because it's important to me. Birthdays, let's see, what else goes in the family category? Any specific plans that you have for trips, or maybe you have just visiting family, even if it's not a big trip, but you're like, I know that we really have to go see my mom for Mother's Day or Father's Day, things like that, all needs to go in there. I know that it seems dumb right now, but I promise you it is well worth it. So family goes in first for me, and I am going to show you what this is starting to look like. So the family is now coded with the color. Next up for me is travel. Now, everyone is different. Travel may not be a priority for you, and that's okay. Maybe you're putting something else in. Maybe it's school. Maybe you're getting a degree and you have to put that in there as well. Think of anything that you are working on in your business that requires time consistently. Okay, so if you're launching something new and you really need to put that on the calendar, then do so. If you have a limited edition session that you do every year, so Mother's Day is one that I have wanted to do for a long time and I haven't, so I'm going to put it in my calendar this year because again, the marketing for that will start happening 6 weeks before that. So having it in my calendar helps me to know what is coming so that I can start talking about it ahead of time. Think of the things that are a priority to you, and that is how you will build your categories. So for me, I am taking the end of August off for a very specific trip. So that will be coded. We are taking the end of September off for another very specific trip. And in April, I have another trip that we are doing. And let's see, what else do we have? For anyone that does not know, I think I've shared this before. When I set goals, my goals are not always like revenue related. Sometimes my goals are a little strange. So for instance, I really want to have a fireworks display on my 45th birthday. It's because of The Great Gatsby, that movie. And I really, really want to do that. So that is one of my goals. Another one of my goals has been to take an individual trip with each one of my children every year. The reason for that is that I'm extremely deliberate and I know that the time goes so fast. So I really want to take a trip with them. Now, these trips are small. Okay. They might be day trips. They might be one overnight, but it doesn't matter. I want to take a trip with them. I'm going to call it the yes trip, where I will say, yes. You want to get ice cream for breakfast? Yes. You want to do this for breakfast? Yes. I actually got the yes idea from Jen Hatmaker in her book, Fierce, Free, and Full of Fire. Amazing book if you have not read it. But I have those trips now scheduled so that when I am planning my business, I can plan it around the things that are basically the why, the reasons for why I work. My husband and I want to take a trip in February, just the two of us, because, after last year, we could use that. But we're not sure when that will happen. So I'm not putting that in the calendar yet, but it is something that is kind of on our radar. Today's episode is brought to you by the new and improved mentoring program with Business Straight Up. If you are struggling with something specific in your business and you need help that is personalized, I am excited to announce that I have officially added mentoring one-on-one back into my business. So what the heck is mentoring? Well, the nice part is that it's custom based on you and your needs for your business. I can help you with marketing or sales or branding and so many aspects of running a business. Mentoring is really part education, part accountability, and part inspiration. I want you to walk away from a mentoring session with me feeling on top of things, with clarity on where you want to go and how to get there and the steps to take to actually make it happen. If coaching or mentoring is something that you have been thinking about, it is time to get some details to see if we're a good fit. Go to businessstraightup.com/mentoring to learn more and reach out so that we can start working together. I can't wait to see where you go in your business in 2021. Next up, I'm going to do my days off. So I told you that I take Fridays off. All of my weekends on the calendar are already shaded. And I'm going to double check these dates for you guys before we have the download up. But I also take Fridays off. So here's what's nice about doing the linear calendar. I can just draw one line and now all of those Fridays are marked off. And let me do the next one. Perfect. Now, of course, the travel dates are going to be off as well because I'm not working while I'm traveling. But I just want to go ahead and highlight the fact that these are going to be off. These Fridays, I am not planning on working. Now, does that change sometimes? Sure. If a client really needs a Friday, then we can talk about it and figure it out. But typically I take Fridays. Those are my kiddo days. That is when we go, in December, like last year, we just couldn't do much, but we went downtown and we got some special cheese and we sat around and ate it, or we go to the food trucks, or we do all sorts of fun stuff on Fridays. And the reason for that is I don't like crowds, and so I don't like to do it on the weekends. And also because some things aren't available on the weekends, especially when you're looking at summer stuff. So Fridays are off. I'm also going to mark the last 2 weeks of December off because that is when my studio is closed and I take that time off. Now I have made exceptions for my students and stuff, so it does happen. But now you can see all of the red is time off. Voila. All right, next up is client work. Let's see, where's my pretty yellow? Fabulous. All right, so my client days are Tuesday, Wednesdays. I do occasionally open other days. As I had said, this is not, set in stone. But for training purposes, I am going to go ahead and mark my Tuesdays, and then I'm actually going to mark half Wednesday because usually I'll do half coaching days on Wednesday and half client days on Wednesday. It just kind of depends on the week. Oh, and you know what? I forgot to put in Thanksgiving. So this is why I said have 2 or 3 copies. It happens. All right. And the first one will absolutely be imperfect, so don't worry about it. I'm a little OCD about stuff when it's done, but you can see in the first copy that the lines aren't exactly together, but that's okay. So I have my clients in there. My Tuesdays and then usually about half of Wednesdays are blocked out for clients. That is when I work with clients, with the exception of my days off in December, and then travel days as well will not necessarily be client days because I'm traveling. However, sometimes I do fit in shoots while I'm traveling because, fun, beach. I live in a landlocked state. So I also want to build in my planning days. I schedule one day every quarter to plan. So I don't color code these, quite frankly, because I ran out of colors that I wanted to use. Otherwise, I probably would. But I do mark them off because they're important to me. This is when I regroup. I come back to my calendar and I say, what the hell is coming up in the next 90 days that I can start to look at and plan and make room for? Not just in my calendar, but like emotionally. Do I need to plan a big shoot? Do I need to plan a trip? Oh, shoot. Did I book airline tickets? Stuff like that. So I do my planning days once a quarter at the beginning of the quarter, usually on a Monday. It's different for everyone. If you prefer to plan on Fridays, do whatever works for you. So next up are my coaching days, which are typically on Wednesdays. So I'm going to do the other half of Wednesdays with coaching. And again, this might be different. Maybe your school schedule fits into Wednesdays. My son actually starts some college courses soon, and that will change our schedule drastically. For anyone that is not familiar with me, I homeschool 2 children. And so our schedule can change depending on what's going on. My son is in flight school, so I have to kind of work around his flight schedule and stuff like that as well. So coaching is now in there. Okay. Not everything is going to be super linear either. So just remember, it's not necessarily going to be every Wednesday, and that's okay. Maybe you just schedule 2 Wednesdays a month or 3 Tuesdays a month. It doesn't really matter. The point is that you're thinking ahead and looking at this so that you can be more consistent. And I will tell you that as artists, so many of us like to really push back on consistency. And I include myself in this, but the reality is that when you set up these systems to be consistent, it gives you even more freedom because your business can run more effectively without you being there. And I fought this for a long time. I'm like, no, I'm a free spirit. I'm spontaneous. And the reality is that business doesn't work that way. So setting these systems up for yourself and your business doesn't mean they can't ever change. It doesn't mean that you're not free to do what you want. It just means that when you're not there, your business can still run because you're not the one that has to make decisions constantly. You have those systems and repeatable processes in place. So I have the coaching in there. Next up is marketing. I do marketing on Mondays, usually. Let me put that in. Sometimes it's like marketing, content creation. It kind of all goes into one bucket. And again, this changes. Don't be so stuck on the fact that it has to be perfect, because it will change. It'll change over and over and over again, and that's okay. So you can see my marketing is now on Mondays. That's also where my plan days are. Mondays, Mondays, Mondays. Marketing is all on Mondays. And next up is creative. So these are the creative shoots. These are the ones that I'm like, they're kind of my crazy ideas. For instance, I've always wanted to go to the UK and shoot quite a few spots around there. I've been saving them for a few years. So as soon as we are able to, I already have someone that is ready to go and wants to model. And I figure we're just going to drive around Scotland and the UK and say, hey, that looks cool. Wonder if we can shoot there. Let's do it. I don't know when that will happen. We'll see. It may not happen at all, but I want to start planning for it and start looking at these things. There are certain shoots that I've wanted to do in the mountains. There are certain shoots that I've wanted to do at specific venues, specific feels. Like I've wanted to do a J-Lo shoot for a while. Alligators. I wrestled alligators a while back. I want to go back and see if we can do a shoot with the alligators, waterfall stuff. Like there's so many fun ideas that we have as creatives, and sometimes we just don't have the time to make them happen when we're running a successful business, and that sucks. We need to make time to be creative. That's what fuels us. So many of us, maybe not everyone, but that is what fuels us. And it gives us the freedom to kind of play around and have full creative control and do, I really want to do an ice queen thing and partner with my stylist and say, you be creative. You're the pro, you're the expert, you do it. So creative stuff I am going to put into April. And I definitely want to do one in August, but I can see that I have my trip in August. So I have to go earlier in the month. Another reason planning is nice. And then I think I want to do one in December as well. Just because December is kind of a fun time. It's not peak wedding season here. I know it's different for everyone in the country, but you can see that now I have my creative stuff built in. And based on my calendar, I just kind of did a quick look and said, one a quarter is probably not going to happen. So I just did 3 instead, 3 for the year, one every 4 months. And again, I can fit one in, sure, if the timing is right and it works out, but this is the first draft and things can change and you can change them constantly. So the next thing that I do on this calendar, which is now all pretty and linear and color coded, you can see it on my other calendar, is I look at my monthly focus. It's kind of messy. Sorry. So my monthly focus for me, for my photography business, is going to be a marketing focus. So I will have one focus for each month. Now it's too late for January. I already had that on last year. So I'm not going to put anything down for January because today is January 12th. But I do want to have certain things that I focus on. And that is what I will be posting on social media. That is what I will be emailing out to my community. And that is what I will be focusing on. Now, does it mean that I don't work on anything else? No, absolutely not. It does not. But it helps to have a focus. And it also helps for your clients that are repeat clients that want to know what's coming up. If you have something cool and special or a limited edition set, it really helps for them to know that that's coming so that they can book, or you could even have a wait list where people are on the wait list because they really, really want to make that happen and they get first dibs. Or you can give first dibs to your Facebook group or your VIP group or whatever that looks like for you. So for me, let's do our focus. January. For me, it's about New Year, love your body. But again, it's a little late for that. So I've already been doing it. For February, I am going to, I don't even really do Valentine's Day marketing anymore. I guess I could. I've been wanting to do a specific kind of session that might work for Valentine's Day. So, and then March. And instead of me writing out all of these, I'm just going to kind of list off my list that I work from when it comes to deciding this. So when it comes to the focus for every month, I'm just going to read you my list with kind of explanations. The first is firefighters, and that is because I have been a sponsor for the firefighter calendar that benefits Children's Hospital Burn Camp. And so that is something that I focus on when we're allowed to do it. Last year was rough. Another is video brand evangelist. So that is where I ask for video testimonials in exchange for a contest someone can win. Another is shower and bath photos, just because they're gorgeous and it gives me the excuse to spruce up I have a gorgeous master bath with beautiful lighting. And so we do shower and bath photos there. Lingerie, which is like t-shirt and panties hanging out. Outdoor photos, which is always fun in the summer. We're kind of limited here. I know people in Florida are like, we go to the beach all the time. In Colorado, we don't do that. Makeup roundtable is something that I do with my stylist. Mother's Day is something I told you I've wanted to do. 12 days of Christmas, my sparkle sessions, holidays, couples, nudes, New Year, love your body, girls' day out, buy one, get one, half birthday, holiday party, festivals. Just think of all of the marketing ideas that you have ever thought of or that you've ever seen someone do. And you're like, that's amazing. I want to do that too. Just make a huge list. And that's where you're going to fill in this list. I just read it at the top. So that becomes my monthly focus. Now, I don't always have one every month, just because there are some months that are really, really busy. Sorry, you're probably going to hear my dog. For instance, October is crazy busy, and I don't really have a marketing focus for that month because it kind of takes care of itself with Christmas. So I'm not going to fill in every single month, but I will do a marketing focus for every month. Next thing, so I would fill out all of the months across the top. And you can see that here. The finished one. The next thing that I'm going to show you is I filled out a weekly thing. So it's not perfect, but it gives me kind of an idea of what I'm doing every week. So for me, on Mondays, I do admin stuff. So like emails, renewing hosting, all of those little things that you're like, this really kind of sucks. And I actually have a weekly, maybe we should do a podcast episode about this too, a weekly consistency checklist, and it's in a page protector, and I just check it off with an overhead marker. If you guys remember those, I just check it off for every week to make sure that I'm consistent in what I'm doing every week. You probably hear or read all the time on podcasts and courses, various communities, that you need to do certain things or have specific processes in place to help with your business. Whether it's lead follow-up, email templates, or workflow, all of this can be so overwhelming, right? Especially when you don't know where to start. I have spent 15 years creating processes that are repeatable for my own business. And last year, I finally launched my online shop where my email templates, workflows, and questionnaires are all available for purchase. And just for my amazing podcast listeners, I have a special code available for you for 10% off of any product on the shop. Just head over to shopwithbrooke.com. Don't forget the E on the end of my name and use the code BSU podcast, like Business Straight Up Podcast, to get 10% off of any product, anything on the shop. Don't let overwhelm or all of the shoulds take precious hours of your time that you could spend with your family or doing what you really love. Check out the templates and pre-done systems that you can copy and paste and implement at shopwithbrooke.com to start rocking your marketing and your business today. So on Monday in the morning, I do admin stuff, and I also do my learning at that time. So if there's a course or something that I'm working on that I want to learn, I will do it at that time. This is when I also do marketing and content. Tuesday is client day. Wednesdays are clients in the morning, and then coaching in the afternoon, usually. Of course, this can always change. Thursday are kids. We do a lot of schoolwork on Thursday. Friday, our kids. That's our fun day. And Saturday is family days. Sunday is family days as well. So kind of big picture overview of the week. I write down here at the bottom. I also wrote on my other calendar something that I'm really working on, which is the first 15 minutes of the day, journaling and working on my calendar and stuff like that. And then the last 15 minutes to plan the next day, which I haven't been doing very long, but so far so good. I really like it. So I'll let you know if it's something that I want to continue. And now the calendar is set. Now I do want to mention that I have referenced other calendars when it comes to this. So for instance, Alex Loveland has an astrological calendar. Things like might want to consider what's going on in the planets and in the world at this time. And I do look at those dates to determine if I want to do my launches and my events around those dates. So if that is something that you're into or considering or interested in, then you can check out her marketing calendar, which is amazing. We will link it in the show notes. Again, businessstraightup.com/057. Another thing to consider are there things that you've just wanted to do that are creative that don't take a lot of planning? So for instance, I really, really, really love festivals. It's one of my favorite things about the summer. It's one of the things I missed most about 2020. And I've always wanted to do like photos at a specific festival. It would just be because I'm there, right? Like I'm just hanging out, but it's also a really great marketing tool because if I am, let's say at the Renaissance Festival, and these people put a lot of work into their costumes, okay? If I'm at the Renaissance Festival and I just take a couple photos of someone, they may not be clients now, but when they have those photos, they might be like, oh, I remember Brooke. She took those pictures of me at the Renaissance Festival when they're thinking about what I actually offer. So it's not something that I'm going to go out of my way to do if I don't want to do it and I'm not going to be there anyway. But if I am going to be there, then hell yeah, I'll send out something to my list going, hey, I'm going to be at the Ren Festival this weekend. I would love to take some pictures of you in your costume. Send me a message if you're interested. And it can be super easy and quick. It doesn't take a lot of planning. It doesn't take a lot of prep. It's just something I can do quickly. Those are little marketing things that I know that my ideal client actually really enjoys. Now, you always, always, always have to consider your ideal client, because if this is not something that they're interested in, then don't do it, because you're not going to be putting yourself in the place where people will be that you want to actually book. So always consider your ideal client. If you don't know who your ideal client is and you haven't put in the work, please do that. Please, please, please. If you were going to do anything for 2021 to further your business, anything, it would be this. Spend an hour on it. Really consider your ideal client. I've worked with my mentoring students on this over and over and over again. If you don't know where to start, go to businessstraightup.com/001. I made it the first episode because it's that important. It really, truly is. And it will change your business so much when you can look at a social media post or an email and you can say, ooh, would she really like this? Would my ideal client like this? Is this something that's really going to relate to her? Something that she will really feel and love? Because if it's not, don't do it. Your ideal client, really knowing what they love, what they think about, what they're facing in their lives, what they're scared of, what they may be struggling with right now, that will be the barometer for so many decisions in your business. There are things that I do just because I enjoy them. And you know what? My ideal clients love them too. And so I'm going to run with them. Absolutely. They might be marketing things. They're small, they're tiny. But you know what? To be that top of mind, when it comes to someone saying, I really need a boudoir photographer, do you know who I could contact? And they're like, oh my gosh, you got to see Brooke. Even when they haven't met me. These women don't know me at all. They've never met me. They've never worked with me, but they sure as hell know that I am the expert at what I do. So that is my linear calendar. As I said, the download will be available. It's free. Guys, just go through this exercise to plan your year. It's free. Go to businessstraightup.com/057 to learn more and get the download. And I will try to link to all of these things in the show notes at that link. So check it out. And thank you so much for being here today. I'm so glad that we could spend this time together. I am honored that you're joining me, whether it's video or audio. If you're in video and you see my hair, just like give me some love or something because it's a fright right now. If you're listening to me on audio, I am so appreciating that you can see my hair right now. If you're with me on YouTube, can you hit subscribe? I'm trying really hard to get to 100 subscribers. YouTube is not something I use very often, and I have larger platforms elsewhere, but I really want my custom URL, and in order to get that, I need 100 subscribers. So please subscribe. Even if you unsubscribe in 2 weeks, please subscribe. I really need to get to that number, and I would love to have you. I really, really want to see your business soar. If you are listening in audio, I would love your review on iTunes. If you're like, Brooke, this was amazing, I would love a thank you in the form of a review on iTunes. So if you head over to businessstraightup.com/iTunes, it'll take you to the link. And I would so appreciate a positive review. It means so much to me to read these. Okay, dogs are done. Sorry, I had to pause recording. My dogs are like, someone's outside. I told you, this is what happens with unscripted episodes that I record later in the day. However, if you loved this content, can you leave a review on iTunes? I know it takes a few minutes. It's not super easy to do. Apple has not made it very easy to do, but those reviews mean so much to me. It helps me to know what I can help you with and how I can better serve you and what I can do to help you grow your business. I cannot wait to see what you do with your business in the world, because every time you work with a client, you are impacting them in some way. And I can't wait to see the ripple effect of what that does on our world, on our culture, all of the things. So have an amazing rest of your day. And as always, if you have any questions on this calendar, what the hell I was doing, any questions at all, head on over to businessstraightup.com/community and join the Facebook group. I'm happy to help. Have a wonderful, wonderful day.
Thank you so much for listening to Business Straight Up. I'm so glad that you could join us today. Check out the show notes for this and all of the episodes at businessstraightuppodcast.com. And I can't wait to talk with you again. Have a great day.